saluto a tutti.
Ciao Juventini, welcome back to the AJC. It is match day, big one today. Atalanta and Juventus in Bergamo. And with a big one, we got to bring out the big gun, Joey Cappuccino with the stash. Look at that. And the nice carbon fiber kit from this year. Beautiful, beautiful. Looking great, Joe. Great to have you on. Omer rocking the good luck tank tops. Okay, so we're off to a great start here already, okay? And then the kind of attitude we're going to need today, amici di nessuno, okay? Let's go. Big one today. Apex coming right out of the gate with the comment so far that pretty much pinpoints this one. Big test for Juventus today right before the break. Win would see us in third behind the Milan clubs. Champions go out and win this game today. We'll see what the lads have in them. We're going to learn a lot about the lads today, okay? Before we get into it, we got to say what's up to everybody out there. Obviously, Apex. We got RB Comps, who was the first comment. Joseph Randazzo saying, ciao, ciao. John Grohl, president of the official fan clubs Toronto and head of the North American official fan clubs. Our guy, what's up? Great to see you in here. Andiamo, yes. Tony Trim. Ciao tutti. Big test today. Hey, let's see how we're feeling as we're going to go through it all. We're going to have some fun, obviously, talking about some of the outside action as well. What's kind of going on in Serie A, what we're noticing, what we're not seeing maybe as being consistent involving our beloved old lady. And then we're going to, of course, get to the business. Atalanta and Juventus. Juve, well, Max Allegri got a little bit of a curveball to deal with without Vlahovic and obviously Milik, and we'll talk about that, okay? Now, let's get into this, boys. First off, let's talk about some outside action and whatnot. First off, for my fellow Canadians and whatnot, what the hell's going on with Lorenzo Insigne? You could take him away from Napoli, but you can't get the Napoli out of this guy, can you? Can you? Little bit of a prick there, eh? Loosened it on some fans yesterday. Did you guys happen to see that, Joe, Omer?
Oh, definitely.
Oh yeah. Someone made a comment about his height. I think that's why he got so pissed.
Yeah, all I heard was, the broken English, fuck off, and then, respect or whatnot, and then I saw his woman pull him off there or whatnot. It's been an absolute horror show for that guy, and it goes to show you that really Giovinco was and is always going to be the best MLS player, okay? And there it is, and it's because he's ex-Juve. I'll just put it out there right now. Giovinco was the titties milk, as you'd say, for MLS. Let's leave it at that. But that was pretty funny. Not so funny and kind of ridiculous what Mancini did and then what Acerbi did in these games. Like the Acerbi one yesterday, like what are we talking about here? How on earth does that just go through unscathed?
Disgraceful, like seriously. I think Omer even said it when we were in the green room. He was like, I just can't stand these modern footballers today. It's just like they're good for nothing. They're good for nothing. Like that's just pitiful.
No,
Pitiful.
I mean you intentionally slapped a guy in the face while running and then simulating. You're not a 20-year-old. You're like a 30-something. What is it? 34, 35. I mean, stand above him. Be your Montero's, the guy who kicks someone's ass, and then stand above him like I'm the boss around here. Do that. If you have the balls to slap him, don't dive like you've got hurt and try to
take the card like a man.
Yeah, you were man enough to punch him. Be man enough to stand and get your talking to or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, we complain a lot about the refs versus Juve, but watching other games, the refs in Serie A, not only in Serie A, are just horrible.
They are.
We can all agree on that. I'm tired of bitching about referees because they're just horrible all across the board. It's not mainly Juve. Every match I watch, there's some sort of refereeing debacle that has to be, photographed afterwards, and everyone just stopping at a certain moment. Look what he did here and there. Refereeing is awful, period, in Serie A and in football in general.
Yeah.
If anyone
The thing
watched the
that
Liverpool Tottenham yesterday,
Well,
oh yeah,
then we saw the VAR on that goal. They
thank you, Al.
essentially took
Yeah,
results away. Like it's crazy to me what's going on. Like it's absolutely wild to me. It's garbage all across the board, and they got to
I
get their
thought
shit
VAR was
together.
like supposed to fix that stuff.
Yeah.
Like it was absolutely supposed to fix those kinds of incidences, but we're seeing it doesn't seem to matter all that much.
And it doesn't change the fact that Acerbi and Mancini are both mutts, okay? Absolute mutts. So that's one thing
yeah,
confirmed on today's show, mutts. And all right.
that's a
Now,
fact. That's not even an opinion.
exactly. That's what I said, 100% confirmed. It's not in denial. It's not even in question. Mutts, okay?
Nicolas
Mutts.
Sierra even tweeted it.
There you go. So in today's action so far, Bologna defeating Empoli. Shocking. Empoli didn't score any goals in that game. 3-0. They've got one goal. It's from Baldanzi, and it was in the win against Salernitana. Salernitana winless so far, and they would be pissed that they couldn't do something against Empoli. Yesterday's action saw Napoli 4-0 against Lecce. Quick thoughts, guys. You think Napoli's back? I'm going to be honest. I didn't think they had really gone anywhere. Even with the Rudy Garcia stuff, the team remains largely the same, and they were still playing decent ball. It felt like a matter of time before they started scoring goals. I don't think they really went anywhere. I think they'll be in this race as the season progresses.
Look, Marcello Lippi once said that the season starts from the 10th match day onwards. Everything before that is not what you're going to get. So I'm taking all of these matches with a grain of salt, and I am not taking it as this team is going to look like that for the rest of the season. Napoli, yeah, the previous matches, I felt they were a bit unlucky. There's some unease in the dressing room, I feel, with the coach and Kvara and Osimhen and everything that's happening behind the scenes. But I wouldn't count them out. Maybe not as Scudetto contenders. I don't think they'll win it again, but they'll still be up there. They
Yeah,
still
and
have
that's
a
how I
good
feel.
team.
So Vedad's kind of saying Napoli will have ups and downs, but they'll be below us. They're going to be in the mix for sure. Like they're not going anywhere is how I feel. They'll be in that range. Do I think they can do it again? I don't think so. I think they'll have,
Hmm.
like Vedad said, those ups and downs. Joe,
Yeah,
you on the same
absolutely.
page?
Yeah, on the same page, and I think that that's a really good point that Omer and Marcello Lippi made. It's, the team switched coaches, a lot of new personnel. So there's going to be some quote unquote growing pains, still getting into the whatever style you want to say Rudy Garcia has. So where they start isn't going to be where they end up. But like you said, Al, I don't think that they are exactly they're not gonna, I don't think they're gonna repeat. Famous last words from me, I guess. But I don't quite see it. I think that the other teams are certainly on par with them, and we'll see. We'll see how many more downs they have than ups, I guess, this season.
Well, it should give us a good, challenge for the Scudetto, an interesting season if all the teams keep, no one's running away and they keep just going up and down. And we've only had one international break and one Champions League match day, so that's going to take effect soon, and we should take advantage of that. So let's hold our horses for a second. It's only match day 7 now, I believe, if I
Yeah,
remember correctly. There's still a long season ahead. I'm not making
yeah.
any judgments.
Tony Trim saying he still said it before his preseason prediction: Napoli outside top four. All right. We'll keep you in check there, Tony Trim. Don't you worry about it, brother. Don't you worry about it. Now
Got it, buddy.
Milan getting the job done against Lazio 2-0. Lazio just toothless until way too late in this game. Sarri gotta think under fire there. Already at what, 4 losses for Lazio?
Hmm.
14th in the table. Eesh, 4 losses out of this opening 7 is going to be nasty for these guys. But AC Milan, very much in the mix. Though their only blemish was that Derby della Madonnina. So,
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
a romp. So it's like, I don't even really know with them. Like, I want to see them still face somebody better, but they're capable of playing great ball. But whatever, Inter's had their number for a while now in that
Hmm.
derby. So it's one of those things where now they have this dragon that has to be slayed, so to speak, you know. But outside of that, I think Milan's playing good ball. Lazio is just it's. I think it's beyond Jekyll and Hyde now. It's not so much what you're gonna get. It's a legit struggle with Lazio. So big problems there.
Look, they definitely don't have a deep enough squad to challenge on three fronts, and it shows. I mean, that Atletico match took a lot out of them, and
Hmm.
they're always been this banana peel kind of team that you don't know what you're going to get. They can beat Napoli on a given day and then get trashed by Genoa or someone, and the next match day. They've always been kind of a weird team, at least in the past 15 years. You never know what to expect from them, and
Yeah.
they didn't replace their players that well. I mean, Immobile is still a problem. His international form has finally reached his club form. He's just
Le-
getting older. Replacing SMS isn't an easy
Hmm.
task.
I think it can sum things up in a way when you've got Pedro coming off the bench and he's miles ahead of everybody else you had on the pitch prior. Not a knock to Pedro, who's had a journeyman career and a good career, but like it's kind of telling when a guy that's in the twilight years is coming out and being that guy for you. And it's like, holy shit, like nobody else on this team could have brought something at least close to that type of drive offensively and ideas or anything. Like Luis Alberto was fuming yesterday. Every ball he's trying to put in, like there's no anticipation, there's no like link ups, like they're just not reading anything together. They look like there's massive issues there. And for a
Yeah.
Sarri led side offensively is not where you would expect it, even with those pieces, if some of them may need to have gone, right? It's
But I
weird.
do see
Yeah.
similarities with Sarri's Juve. Only Sarri's Juve had better players, but still, I see similarities in the build-up. Trying to replicate what he had in Napoli is just not working for a
Hmm.
couple of years now. Not for Chelsea, not for Juve, now not for Lazio. And
Yeah,
but
Yeah.
he's
and I
not
mean,
wrong. He's
a
not wrong
lot
in
of
what he's saying.
yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I agree with everything that you guys are saying. I think I
Now,
I'm just going back to like what RB Comps was saying. I don't think Lazio so much are a bad team. We got to also give them the benefit of the doubt, like we are with Napoli. Like it's still early in the season, ups and downs. They're just having a lot of downs right now. Very true that they did not really replace or find adequate replacements for like SMS and all that stuff. I don't think Ravella is going to fill that hole. Um, and also kind of like what you said, Al, I think sometimes you just don't know like what version of players are going to show up. Like Luis Alberto and Zaccagni, I think a lot is on their shoulders to kind of push the team forward a little bit. But God, it's just rough days right now for them. So
yeah.
still early, but it's not looking good.
Yeah. And I mean, it's saying, well, Faraz saying, well, he did well with the squad last year. I mean, he did, but Serie A was also really bizarre last year in all
Yeah.
the clubs outside of Napoli. Like, you talk about,
He,
they were really, look at, they steamrolled the thing, and all the other teams couldn't get anything really going. It was just a weird year. But, anyways, Sarri or Mourinho, because Roma is in shambles. And Animesh asks, who gets fired first, Mo or Sarri?
sorry, definitely. Because
Mm,
Sarri is taking digs at management, and Lotito is, he has his issues and he likes to keep his reputation. Wouldn't take shit from any manager. So Sarri is pushing the limits. Mourinho kind of, even though Roma are doing bad, he still has the fans behind him. He like created this mentality of us against the world there for Roma. So the fans do love him, and the players do have a connection to him. I don't see him getting fired that easily.
Let's get them both fired, then they
mm.
could switch in the capital and both teams could
Yeah,
continue to suck. How about that?
Yeah, right.
But I actually do agree with you. I
and that.
think that probably, yeah, it's probably going to be Sarri for exactly those reasons, Lotito and whatnot. And when he starts taking shots, yeah, Sarri, Sarri won't change. He'll never
No,
change. Let's put it that
He's
way.
a little
no,
crybaby. That's
Yeah.
very true.
So that puts
he's an
us kind
angry
of
old
through
man.
what's gone on in the league so far. So as far as the table stands at the top, obviously Inter and AC tied at 18 points apiece. You have Napoli at 14. They've all played 7 games. On 6 games, you have Juventus with 13 points. Atalanta just below us with 12. Fiorentina taking up that 6th spot, tied with Lecce on 11 points. All right. So again, I still stick to what I'm saying. It's going to be tight all the way through the season. This is a big one for Juventus. We got some news, obviously, to kind of tackle, and we were speaking about, obviously because we play Atalanta, Coop Miners is going to come up there again, apparently being listed as one of those targets. But a Lazio guy coming up, being listed as this option alternative to Berardi should Juventus try and make some moves, and it was Zaccagni. I just said for me it doesn't make sense. You've got Chiesa, the way he plays, he always drifts to the left. Get a right-sided specialist if you're going to even bolster the attack. But the question that came up this week to everybody, and we're going to ask the live, you can only make one move this winter transfer window for Juventus. At which position do you make the move? Defense, midfield, or attack? And then tell us why. Why do you choose that position? So do we make the one move, in your opinion, at defense, midfield, or attack? Where would you make that move for Juventus? Joe?
Well,
That's a difficult question.
So
But
just to lay it out for everybody, the majority, and I think it was probably around 60%, so it was big, was midfield. And I agreed with that personally. For me, it is the midfield. But how do you guys feel? Would you go somewhere else? There were a lot of shouts for defense. Attack had almost nothing, to be honest. Like very low scores
because
for
we're pretty
attack.
good,
Like
right?
so we keep getting linked with Berardi probably making this move, switching to this 3-4-3 or whatever, which I don't want to see. A 4-3-3, sure. But here's how I feel: is like we can transition to even a Trident up top and still utilize Weah or Illing Jr., even potentially Yildiz, okay? And next season, maybe Sule comes back. He can play off that right side as an actual forward if we go that route. But for me, our midfield so far has shown the inconsistency that's in there. And we need help in the middle of the pitch, in my personal opinion. The last couple matches, we had 2/3 of our midfield practically invisible. For me, it's the middle of the pitch. That's how I feel. Joe, you want to answer now, or Omar, are you ready to fire up here?
I mean,
I don't
I'm
have.
inclined to agree. So, and the first name that came to my mind, it's a difficult question because I think that there are obviously players who anybody could pick that could, slot into any one of those parts of the team. But the first thing that came to my mind, and I even saw it in the chat, it was Kefren Turam. So that would be my pick. Definitely midfield and definitely him.
Yeah, I'm exactly on the same page. I mean, signing an attacker will force us to, change formation. And I doubt Allegri will do that. We already have like 3 strikers and 2 like second strikers, 2, 3, if you will. Midfield has kind of felt off balance. I don't think there are any, available left backs for a cheap price. The only problem with Thuram is his price.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
he's
I've been
like
saying
40,
this for a
50
while.
million.
I actually don't see it happening. Too many teams interested that are going to go in. He was already at 45 mil last season. And apparently he wanted 8 mil on contract too. I just don't see it. I don't see it, guys.
No, I don't see Nice letting him go because they are having a good season. So I don't see
Not
Nice
in
letting
winter,
him
but even
go
in the
mid-season.
summer. Even in the summer, I don't see it. I really don't see
Well,
it.
summer is a different story. Let's see what happens if we do get into Champions League and if we untie ourselves from the Pogba contract and if we manage to sell Kostic, then maybe it's doable. If he
Yeah.
wants to come to Juve as well. But if he's open, Bayern are in the race, Liverpool are in the race. I mean, we can't outbeat those teams. It
If you
has to be
guys
the
have been
players who
tracking
will.
his performances, though, that
Yeah,
price
same.
tag's going to keep doing
It's
this.
keep
Yeah.
going up. He's a
What we
great
do
player. I mean,
need,
no,
we
you
do
go
need
over.
an
Sorry.
all-around midfield. So we do need an all-around midfielder, someone who can do
Hmm.
both. You know,
Yeah.
so type of a Vidal player who's good with passing, good with shooting, but also adequate at defending and has the lungs to run, not injury prone. Those are a lot of boxes to tick. If you take them separately, we have a guy for those stuff. So Samardzic, as Hanin said, sounds a bit more logical
Yeah.
financially, and getting accustomed to the league. I believe he's a bit older too, because bringing in Turam is he's still a young guy. He'll take time to settle in the league, and I don't know. I just don't see any other available players to sign that can instantly improve the team.
Yeah. It
Oh, so he's 21, Samardzic, so he's not that old, but he does
yeah, it's
have a couple of
21.
years in the
I
league.
actually would I think Samardzic, if you can get the same deal
Yeah.
that he was ready to go to Inter with, that's a no-brainer, I think.
Oh yeah.
Honestly,
Yep.
I think it also opens up the door for a loan that needs to happen with a certain player at Juventus in the middle of the pitch. Probably Moretti could do well with a loan. I'm happy they
Hmm.
kept him around this year, okay?
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
it made sense with nobody else coming in. I'm like, how are we loaning him and Nicolucci Caviglia out again? It's like, no, keep them around for the numbers. But overall, I think it needs to happen. I think he could have the same type of effect as what's happening with Sule at Frosinone. And Sule's doing well. He's getting a ton of minutes. He's doing Barnechea is doing good too. But Sule,
Yeah.
he looks like what we expect to see at Sule. But there is a massive difference when you go to a team where the expectations are just nowhere near that and you can actually focus on your game. You can get accustomed to the league, to the timing, to the speed, everything about it, the physicality. You can get used to it and do so, with this breathing room, and not every touch is so critical like it is at Juventus.
Of course.
It's
Look,
yeah,
he does have Roma today, free falling Roma. So he does have a chance to, play a good game. Frosinone weren't that bad since the beginning of the season, and they're doing quite well. Quite well. They're punching above the weight, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm betting. Maybe Anthony wants to put a bet on that he scores today against Roma.
Wow.
that Sule is gonna score there. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Not
guess.
out of the
Maybe
question.
even Kayo hasn't gotten any minutes yet, or maybe just a few minutes, but nothing special. I would like to
Yeah.
see him play more.
We'll see, Sule. Hey, it shows you the loans. They're good ideas. They're good ideas. We'll see if he can have a future at Juventus. He spoke about it. He wants a future at Juventus, and he was always fighting to stay at Juve. But obviously, glad they decided on that. We just got out of the discussion of one spot you would add. Midfield seemed to dominate it, but I do agree with the comment. We need a midfielder, just not Hoiberg. Okay. Yeah, I agree. Those could stop at any time. Not a big knock to him, but I think we need to get a little more. Get a little more. Okay. Allegri's words coming into this game, so he finally gives us a subtle hint at something more than just top four. As we see a comment that come in here that right here from RB Comp saying, I'll be extremely disgusted with Allegri if we don't get top four, let alone challenge for the Scudetto. And he's always said top four is objective, whatnot. But finally this week, he says, we need to find the continuity in results. We need to find the right cruising speed in the championship to, of course, hit the champions goal, but help us in the head with our greater desire. Thank you. Thank you. The greater desire, we know it's there. The fans have it. We know the players have it. We know that you have it, Max. Stop beating around the bush, okay? It's okay to say so. Stop lingering around this fear of failure and just get the fuck after it and embrace it. Accept it. It's there. We all know it's there. You could say whatever you want. We know it's not true. So I like that. I actually liked his press conference and I thought it was good ahead of this game. He finally just clears the air on the favorites thing and says, you know what? It's like he does watch a show. They all watch a show. Come on, you guys. I said,
Well,
what
we
did
know
we
Moretti
say?
does.
We said
We know
stop.
Moretti does.
We said
Meretti
stop
does.
stop with this. Stop with the favorites talk and just tell them it's nonsense and it's way too early and who cares? You could be the favorite, you could be the underdog like last season and come out and win. It really doesn't matter. And he finally just shuts down the favorites talk. I actually thought he did a solid press conference. Now, unfortunately, Giuntoli said something that was a little bit bizarre, saying that our rivals are Atalanta, Fiorentina, and I think he enabled another team too. And it's like, Giuntoli, you now work at Juventus this season, just in case, you might not have seen your last paycheck. It had, a big J on it. Okay, you're not at Napoli anymore, buddy. Okay, you're not at Napoli anymore. They're not rivals. Dom, friend of the channel, Napoli fan, said, "Oh, how far they've dropped. It used to be Inter and Napoli." Holy shit, that's hilarious too. The fact that he thought Napoli was even listed as one of our rivals. My God. Holy Christ. You're closer to a rival with a hotel room, Dom, than you are rivals to us, okay? We know our rivals. These are not our rivals. Giuntoli, bring it up a notch, okay? Bring it up a notch. But he also said something that just fired everybody up, saying that we need to come up and bring the club up to Allegri's level. And this, of course, had everybody fired up and everything. It's not something I haven't been saying as of late. I've started to put a lot more heat on our players and demand more and want more. It's not that far off a statement, to be honest. We may not like his style. I don't like Max's style or anything like that, but do we think he's not capable of more? We've seen he's capable of more, but yeah, maybe he's more reliant on the individual talent, whatnot. But if we look around, doesn't it always really come down to the talent? Even if we're looking at De Cerbi, even if we're looking at these other guys, it ultimately comes down to the talent. It's funny to me because you have these discussions that continue to happen, and did Zerbi get absolutely blasted yesterday? Okay? And it's like, oh, well, where's his defense? Where's the defense and everything? Teach him how to defend and whatnot. Yet, when we fail, it's our players. And it's not the fact that we've almost allowed a goal on average per game with Max Allegri in his 3-year return. It's the players. But he's a defensive specialist, right? So it's funny. And then these guys do well, like De Cerbi, but it's like you still need to see him with the top talent. It's like, well, what would he do with a stronger side and everything? So it always ultimately comes down to the talent. So I don't really get this outrage from this comment Giuntoli made. How do you guys feel about the comment?
Joe.
About regarding Allegri, I mean, I see what you're saying. Al.
It
I think
always
there's
ultimately comes down to the talent.
it does. It ultimately it does come down to what happens on the field. You know, the players themselves. So like you can always speculate, like the comparison you made, like, oh, what would he do with a better squad? It's there's just so many revolving parts. I think when it comes to coaching a team, it's stuff that we don't see on a day to day. We don't see how players behave in practice. We don't see the kind of like the intensity, and we got to also remember that these players are like actual human beings with other lives. So like there's probably a lot of stuff going on in their heads, that can interfere with how they perform on the field and things like that. So but like you said, all roads ultimately lead to the talent in the team. And yeah, you can say that Allegri relies on talent and whatnot, but I think what Giuntoli is getting at is that Allegri's fired up. He realizes the tasks that are being asked of him, and he's expecting the players to meet him there. And maybe that's pointing to something that we've kind of seen a little bit from last season and into now, that the players sometimes it just looks like they turn off. Like there's no fire, there's no fight, and hopefully that changes, and we'll see. That's just my perspective on this.
Yeah. Omer.
What makes a good coach? His ability to perform with top level players, or his ability to perform with relatively mediocre players? That's the question we should be asking ourselves. We should be asking gently. I mean, a lot of managers can do better, and a lot of managers can do worse than what Allegri does right now. Players, I mean, look, De Zerbi's actually working wonders with the squad that he had. I mean, he has like Igor and Ansu Fati. And those are not top level players, and he still manages to push above the weight. That's kind of how I feel. Did he get thrashed? Yeah, he got thrashed. So did Liverpool last season and Man United with top level coaches. I mean, it happens especially in the Premier League. So I'm not. I mean, the flip side of it is, was Allegri a better coach with Chiellini, Buffon, Barzali, Dybala, Higuain, Mandzukic? I'm shocked that he was better with them. That Juve were better with those guys. Those, maybe except for Dybala, weren't guys molded by Allegri into a certain system and grew under him and became the men they are today. So there are a lot of variables to it. There is no clear answer. We never know what's going to make a squad better. Look at Tottenham, got a relatively unknown coach, lost their best player in the past, I don't know how many years, and they're doing better than they did in the past 10 years. So there is no formula like if you do this and this and that, your squad is going to be better. There are a lot of variables to it. I don't know if we need better players so Allegri can succeed or better managers so these players can succeed. All I know is we're playing Atalanta today and we're going to kick their ass.
Beautiful, beautiful segue. Do you guys remember Luca under De Zerbi? Coach has a role as well. Sure, but I also remember Luca as of like a week and a half ago when he was balling out and then disappeared for a couple games. This is kind of what I'm saying. And to Joe's point too, teams, players, they got to be able to go through the gears. So even if you're looking at another coach that might, it's almost may appear sexy to us right now. Okay, we got to play that kind of ball. Well, guess what? That coach, and De Zerbi being one of them, his team doesn't necessarily go through the gears very well either. It's just in a different fashion, affecting the opposite phase. It's all relative. But ultimately, we face Atalanta today. And we are going to kick their ass, like Omer said, okay? October schedule kicks off with Atalanta, obviously, for Juventus. The other games this month, you got to think Juve's got to pull 9 points minimum out of this one to keep the pace. So we got Atalanta, then we have the Derby della Mola next Saturday. AC Milan on the 22nd, on the 28th, Hellas Verona. 9 points got to be a minimum. Do you guys agree? And do you think we're going to be fine getting those 9 points?
Yeah, I'm not comfortable going away to Milan, as far as they look this season, but they will have. Playing against Milan would be right after the international break, so expect some injuries on both sides, some absentees. Then I think they have a Champions League match right after, so maybe that will be on their minds. But still, I don't know if we'll win against them. They look like a good team. The rest should be wins. Derby della Mola, no question. Verona, again, no question. And today we have to start. Let's start on the right foot. 3 points today, and then 2 more games to win.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And as Animesh says, Milan will be a huge one, and they have seemed to have our number. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Today, though, it's all about Atalanta and Juve. So, midweek win over Hellas Verona for Atalanta. They've got 4 wins, 2 losses. The 2 losses are gonna infuriate Gasperini, especially the one at the hands of I believe it was Sassuolo when the Sassuolo one.
Yes,
probably going to hurt
correct.
them. But even the midweek match, just 1-0 against Verona, but they had a lot of opportunities. There was a question mark circulating around De Ketelaere if he was going to start today for Atalanta or not. I haven't seen the recent news, but that changes things for them if he can't
I've
get up
seen
there. He's actually, I think he's on the projected lineup, but there was doubts coming into it. I'd expect him to be out there. I haven't seen anything otherwise. Maybe a
I
game
did.
time decision.
I did. The
Mm.
report was that he is available, but he will start on the bench. He's not
Ah,
fully
there you
fit for a
go.
full match.
So that'll slightly change them up top with the Catalara and Lookman. Like they present players that give typically Juve defenders problems in terms of
Mm.
speed, the movement, the dribbling and whatnot. We usually have a way better time with the less mobile and the bigger physical guys that, you could plant a Bremer on and just kind of rule out and then deal with everybody there. These guys, they're quick, shifty, they can create problems. And then, of course, apparently one of our other January targets, Cup Miners, will have to keep tabs on big time with Atalanta. He's the guy that pulls the strings for them. All right. We know what they like to do. They can bomb down the flanks. But again, Cup Miners is going to be trying to find the space. And Lookman is off to a really good start in the season as well. So we'll have to keep tabs on him as well. They've had some outgoing players. They're really only missing the two players that they brought in the summer in Bilature and Scamacca. So those guys are still out for Atalanta. But this is in Bergamo. We know what these games are like. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one. We'll see
Although we
what
did
happens.
win there last season, 2-0, I
We did.
believe it was, and
Hmm.
they are very leaky at the back. I mean, they haven't conceded as much, but mainly due to luck. And there are a lot of gaps. Chiesa can really enjoy the time against them. So what I have to say, they push really high. We don't do so well with pressure, but they do leave a lot of gaps behind, and their
Yep.
defense is relatively heavy and not that mobile. So I would actually be fine with Keane starting this match.
Well, that's good because he is going to start the match. No Vlahovic and no Milik. I actually expect a good showing from Keane. I actually think he's going to have a really, really good game for us. And
Yeah, he
I
has
hope so.
Italy on his mind.
Yeah, we hope. Yeah.
They are going to obviously be giving Chiesa the business and the brunt of the attention. I wasn't a fan of hearing about Kostic going to be starting in this particular game, but the latest say that Cambiaso is going to be on that left side for Juventus. So we'll get into it now. Obviously, part of that presser yesterday, Max broke the bad news about Vlahovic with his back and Milik with a calf injury, but Keane, who's been dealing with some shin problems, is going to be in. In the middle of the park, it's expected that Fagioli will get the nod again. I would go with Fagioli again. Locatelli and Rabiot, man, they need to bring a little bit more. I need more out of those two guys for this one especially. At the back, Szczesny in goal. Gatti, Bremer, Danilo. Rugani apparently hasn't played enough and was suffering from cramps and whatnot after the last game. So probably going to see Gatti in there. Bremer, I have no problems with it. And I was kind of bothered by how quick a lot were to dismiss Gatti because of the errors that were suffered in the Sassuolo match. And for me, it's like you have to take the bad to get to the good and get to the next level. Fabrizio Ravanelli put it best for me. I would rather, go through those errors with this guy than continue to get errors with somebody else who has no future at the club. It's as simple as that for me. And I'm going to brush that game aside the same way I brushed Bremer's horror show against Napoli last season. I have no issues with Gatti. And this is not to say that it's anything against Rugani, who honestly has done well for the past 2.5 seasons. Like, he's become reliable now, which is why I said I have no problem with him drop that salary, keep him around. He's happy to be 5th, 6th, 7th. He's happy to make the espressos in the morning. He doesn't care. He just wants to be here. And he's reliable now. Keep him around. Does Rugani need more minutes though? Because now the shout is now's the time to give him those minutes because he's become reliable. So real quick, guys, the Gatti situation. How you feel about Gatti and Rugani? Should Rugani be getting more minutes?
Well, I think he does. I mean, with Sandro out for at least a month and a half, he needs minutes in his legs. He played like 60, 70 minutes in the last game and had cramps. The same goes for like Milik and Keane and Nicolucci and all those guys who have sat on the bench for the better part of this season. We will need them. I mean, playing Keane now after what he had like 10, 20 minutes all season, that's not very comforting. We need to get some minutes into those guys. But I get, when Vlahovic is available and Chiesa is available and Danilo and Bremer, so not a lot of room to play there without European play. But Allegri has to find a way to integrate those guys and get them in match shape as the season progresses.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there will be opportunities. I think whether or not this is the game and this is the time to do it remains to be the question. But going back to what Al was saying about Gatti, you know, just like water under the bridge at this point. You take it where it lies right now, and you can't. I mean, I'm sure Gatti's even harder on himself than anybody else, like who's making comments about it. So just one error isn't enough to like completely doom the guy, So like
yeah.
if he gets the starting spot, great. I hope he pulls it up today. So
And the thing is too is like it's probably good for him because it was coming to this spot where okay, I battled, I got the spot from Sandro, which it should have been anyways, and you're probably getting up here, but then it's like boom, back down to reality, and you know what? That could be the best thing for him. And
hmm
again, we'll know more in the reactions. But Rugani, I would rotate guys a little bit more with the fact that you have Rugani that has become reliable now. I would do that. I would definitely do that. And I think some rotation in there could probably help Gatti out too and just keep him that
sure.
sharp and just keep the whole team sharp in general. So,
Give Allegri headaches. That's what we need to do. If Keane
exactly.
performs today, that's a
hmm
positive headache for Allegri. He
Make
should
yep,
think
tough
hard on who he
decisions.
picks. He has
Now,
to do it.
Cambiaso set to go on that flank. Chiesa, we need a little more from Cambiaso than the last showing. Wasn't as impressive as he had been leading up to that, so hopefully he could bring that today. But the big one is going to be Moise Keane. Keane is really going to have to have some type of impact on this game and some type of influence in this match for Juve. I think he's going to have a good showing. I think for the most part, he gets a tough goal. But I prefer him sometimes to Milik in coming off in relief and whatnot. I think he's just a little more physical. I think he's definitely got more pace and whatnot. His touch, well, Vlahovic and Milik suffer from some touch issues here and there, whatnot. But I'm looking for a big one from Keane. And I think he'll deliver today. I really do. How confident am I in that? Well, I'm not going to go be putting money down on that. I'll tell you that. So I'm not going to bag any bets here on anytime goal scorer for Moise Keane, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does it. The big one for Juventus player to watch in this, for me, it's going to be our guy. It's going to be Federico Chiesa. But honestly,
hmm
it's going to be still Fagioli in the middle, and it's going to be probably Cambiaso. But McKennie. McKennie has made himself one to watch for Juventus because for me, he's been right up there next to Chiesa at a level that not all the other guys have been able to remain at. So he's also on my list of players to watch. Players to watch for you guys, if you had to narrow it down to one who you think is going to be key.
I'll give that to two players. The untouchables in midfield. We've said it in the past couple of shows. If they're untouchables, they really need to pick it up. So Locatelli and Rabiot, my eyes are on them. They have their hands full because they will need to run a lot forward and distribute the play, especially Loca. He needs to pick it up because we know there's a player in there, but he hasn't arrived yet to this season. So that's what I'll be watching. Cambiaso is a youngster. McKennie, I was expecting a whole lot. Keane, we have we know he has been talking to Spalletti when Spalletti visited, so he has Italy on his mind. I believe in 1 week we'll get the squad called up for the international break. So maybe that will give him a push, and maybe it'll do the other way around and put pressure on him. I hope he proves himself to be reliable because if there was a better time, I mean, he couldn't find a better time to be Italy's number nine.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Essentially. Yeah. Yeah. Joe?
I mean, Rabiot, Loca, both great shouts for ones to watch. We where was the Rabiot that we had last season? He hasn't really showed up. So that'll be one to watch. Everyone's going to be watching Chiesa, obviously. So um, yeah, I guess once the lineup is cemented, like we know who's going to be playing, whether it's Gatti or Rugani, I'll be watching. I'll be watching that. Um, but yeah, those are the general guys who you got to really keep an eye out for. I will be interested to see also, depending on how the game progresses, how the subs fit in. So that'll be another thing I'll be watching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Now,
we hope Yildiz can get a couple of minutes, more than five.
Yeah,
If
who says
everyone
no?
is injured,
Besides Allegri.
nobody
if everyone's injured, he will get minutes, I believe. And we also have some youngster from the next gen, Mancini, who's maybe if the game goes well, maybe we'll get some minutes for him too. He's been called up because he's a striker, and aside from Keane, we don't have anyone.
Yeah. We'll really have to watch McKennie, though, especially this game, just because I think that there's going to be a real battle on the flanks and for that midfield control. So
Yeah,
that'll probably be where a lot of my attention's going.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one to watch. We definitely can't come up short in the midfield battle today. So I'm really gonna have eyes on our midfield as a unit. And ultimately, for us in general, it's been the for me the sore spot because the guys that are inconsistent in there, and to be honest, when we're looking at this team, it affects not just offense but our defense too. And when our defense struggles, our midfield is just out of sorts. It all starts and ends there for me, and I hope today that those three get it together and can perform and show some type of level like they had last season because they were our best three when it was Rabiot, Locatelli, and Fagioli. They got to get back to it. They got to get comfortable, but they have to essentially shape this game for Juventus. Outside of that,
and
Cambiaso, Chiesa, of McKennie for helping in creation, and Keane create some havoc, brother. And I would love to see a gritty today. Okay, best gritty in the game. Let's go. Let's go now. We got to get to the predictions. We're going to get the key stats out of the way. Prediction challenge time, everybody. You guys know the drill around here. But real quick, take a second, hit the like button. Let's go. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe, okay? We've been hovering around 60 to 70 here on the live. Let's get those likes up. Come on. Now, Atalanta have won all their matches at home so far this season, okay? Atalanta have only one victory in their last 10 against Juventus at home. Okay? Atalanta have won 4 of their 6, obviously, this season. Juventus are undefeated in 35 of their last 38 matches against Atalanta in all competitions. Didn't seem like that. That one kind of surprised me.
Yeah, it didn't.
Yeah. And Juve, we know only one loss so far in this campaign. The midweek match to Lecce left us all feeling underwhelmed in terms of the reaction we would have saw. Hey, fingers crossed. Nice thing about the season, you get another chance to set the tone. Let's see if we can send another statement and set the tone today.
But let's not forget, this is a must-win match. All things aside, Milan, Napoli, Inter won. If Atalanta wins today, they jump past us. So Juve needs to keep the pressure.
I
They
don't
need to
know
be
so
found on the
much
first
if it's a
10 for
must
today.
win or can't lose. I think it's more of a can't lose than it
Okay,
is a
let's
must
call it.
win.
Sure,
Okay, let's
we'll
call it
call it
10
that.
It's
two.
a can't lose because a draw is fine still for Juventus. It's a can't lose. Okay,
That's so Antonio
is
Conte
that's
from
so
you.
Allegri of me, isn't it?
So Conte of you. Yeah, he's
That
getting
is
to you
so
now.
Allegri of me.
We want
Okay,
to win, but we just can't lose.
it's a
Yeah.
can't lose more than it is a must win. I like that. Okay, let's get to the predictions. You guys know the drill around here. Final score, 2 tiebreakers. Let's rock. Joey, I'm gonna give you the honors, my man.
All right, we're gonna hand Atalanta a fat L today.
Oh, I
Two
like it.
one. I'm gonna say the score line's gonna be. I think that's pretty. I think that's good. Uh, I'll put Keane on the score sheet. I'll put Keane on the score sheet. Keane and Chiesa will be my goal scorers, and then my what's the other tiebreaker? What do I want? I'm gonna say Rabiot gets a card in the 30th minute.
Safe bet there.
He's feisty, so
Yeah.
Rabio card. Okay. Joey's handled. Omar, would you like me to go or do you want to go?
What does it matter? You always steal my predictions anyway, so go ahead.
Hey, you can't use that anymore when I offer to go first.
So go ahead.
Okay. This is one of those predictions
Okay.
where I hope I'm wrong.
Wait. I'm gonna write what I think my prediction is. You're gonna say yours, and then I'll show the rest.
this
Okay.
he'll prove it. This is proof.
Yeah. Reading my mind and then taking credit. Okay, go ahead.
It's one of the predictions where I hope I'm wrong. I believe it's going to be a 2-2 draw. Actually, I have 2-2 draw in this game. I do have Chiesa involved in a goal, so I've got Chiesa as a scorer. And I think we surrender a PK in this game. That's my prediction. Can't see it. Are you
Get
kidding
out of
me?
here, dude. Get out
No,
of here.
I'm kidding. I fixed it. You didn't see it, but 2-1 Juve.
There you go. 2-1
That was my
Juve.
prediction. But I was
There you
close.
go.
But I
2-1
was
for
close.
Juve. So you're copying Joe now. Okay, I see how it is. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. What are your tiebreakers, Omer?
I think we'll have a goal from Chiesa and one from midfield. I want to say Rabiot.
Okay.
Now, I wanted to check something else. I think Juve are top of the league for yellow cards, so I'm going to guess.
They are.
Yeah. I mean, they were. Sorry, that was my dog.
Yeah, he was just confirming.
And no, it's his walk time, so he's putting pressure on me. I'm going to say 5 total yellows for Juve. And, well, that's about it.
All right. All right. Tony Trim saying 2-1 Juve win. Everybody's feeling the 2-1. Keane and Fagioli to get one. There you go. 50-50 split. Okay. Okay. And then we've got 3.
Great for my fantasy, actually. I had a great
3-2
weekend.
Juve. Atalanta 1, Juventus 3. West, Chiesa, and Keane. Okay. Okay. I'm liking it. Not a lot of predictions coming out there, so people, maybe a little gun shy to throw out their predictions in those. It's going to be a big one, okay? It's going to be a big, big game. I hope for the reaction that we didn't get midweek to come out today, and I hope that we get this strong reaction. It's going to be a big one. This is kind of the right time, I think, also to kind of go at Atalanta. Like I said, 4 wins, sure, out of the 6, but 2 that no doubt are still on their mind. And to be honest, while their offense is creating a lot, they're not clinical. They're not as clinical as they have been in years prior. And it's going to probably be weighing on them too. If Juve comes out and gets an early one, this could be a different game based on how we play after, right? So This is going to be a very, very interesting game to watch. Let's see what happens here. Apex going with the 1-0 for Juve. Okay.
Cortomuso. All
There you
right.
go. George going with the 1-0 victory to Juve as well, and a goal from the defense. Nader coming in there with the 1-1. Okay. RB saying Atalanta really poor at home last season. So far this year, though, that's where all their wins are coming. So we'll see what happens. There's still going to be question marks in this one. All comes down to game time and see what happens on the pitch. I'm pumped to be bringing the watch along. Hope to see you all there. But we're not done for today. We got Storm the Barn. Storm the Barn. Now's the time to get your questions in, okay? And real quick, I'm going to open it up to the lads here, Omer and Joe. Do you guys have anything that we haven't got into you wanted to bring up? Fire away. Now's the time.
Never ready for that.
Yeah, right.
What's going on? You think you would be ready now, being a seasoned vet?
Yeah, you would. My wife says the same, but I keep disappointing. So once again, I'm consistent, unlike you. Question.
Let's talk about these guys, these additions and stuff, because we talked about the rumors and stuff. Like, first off, extension with Adrian Rabiot on a multi-year. How do you guys feel about that? I said pump the brakes before even deciding this. Because apparently the interview or the meetings with his mommy are in November. So,
yeah, pump the brakes on that one. He had a great season last season. This season's being it's a different story. Not that he's not a worthy player, but still, like, come on.
Yeah,
let's hold out.
I think we can wait. I think we don't have to decide on. It's fine for them to have meetings and have discussions and try to sort out where it could stand or whatnot, but definitely don't be pulling the trigger until later.
Not to mention that he was just being so difficult, like with the renewal for a large period of time. Like, we weren't sure if he was staying or going, and then
I think he was banking on people coming in with like way more money than what was
there,
and then it was like, oh wait, I'm not getting that. Okay, yeah.
Yep. So hold off on that
one. No, I'm not over the moon with that idea. I mean, Rabiot is a good player. He's been a good player for the past season. Stats-wise, he's been the best midfielder, offensive midfielder in the league last season.
Yeah.
But it's not like we can't do even better.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the thing. I believe that with the right signing, with the right, scouting, we can fill that gap, without so much of a fuss, let's call it. And not overspending, like, let's go sign Kevin De Bruyne. That's not what I'm saying. But if we are building, maybe not even Thuram, maybe someone a bit more seasoned, with a bit more experience in the league, not in the league, but there are some bargains here and there. I mean, just look at Inter and how Marotta keeps finding those guys who fit perfectly into their system. I believe we can fill that role without overspending and without feeling Rabiot's absence too much.
Yeah.
But if he does extend, well, I'm not going to cry about it. But let's see how the season progresses, because they definitely won't close it by November. We know how much Juve likes meetings. They won't close it in November.
Who takes the PKs without Dusan in the lineup? Chiesa,
yeah.
Yeah, has to be, right?
Has to be, wouldn't it? Like, who else is going to take it?
I don't think anyone else on the team has like a proven track record of being a designated PK taker. So it would fall to him. That's what I think.
It'll fall on him. He's taken over a lot of the set pieces too. So that's kind of seems natural that it'd be Federico Chiesa.
Yeah, maybe Danilo. I see also the comments here. Maybe Danilo will get it. Allegri liked Bonucci taking them, so
that's right.
Wouldn't surprise
Look at this
me.
Storm the Barn. This is just cruel. Would you sign a deal that gives us the Scudetto, but merda lifts the Champions League? No, I can't do it.
No. Unanimous no from the panel.
No. We'll win the Scudetto without that deal, but I can't see that. No, no.
Puke.
God, that's cruel. Cruel. You're
No,
sick,
I
George.
got
You're
you.
sick. You're sick, George. No, it's okay.
Sick.
It's all good. I
Shalom
love it.
Shabbat.
When Allegri says Juve are in a top four race, do you think it's just mind games? Surely has to be, right? You guys know
No,
how I feel
apparently,
and what I've been saying. You guys, I'll fill in
apparently
after.
there isn't an interview where that question don't get asked with everyone with Juntoli. So he's just spewing the same answer over and over again. I don't know if that's what he believes. I don't know if it's mind games, but it's just a normal question that's being asked every week, and every week we discuss his answers. And honestly, I'm tired of it. I don't think he believes it. I just think he answers the question directly without saying, yeah, we are the favorites. I don't think any coach in Serie A would say that. Even Pep always said that they're not favorites and they have to work hard and blah blah blah.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah,
honestly have never heard a manager say, yeah, we are the favorites for the Scudetto this early in the season.
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't happen. I don't even think that he's playing mind games. I think that it's just being the pragmatic guy that Allegri is, So it's just has nothing
Yeah.
to do with him trying to get into Gasparini's head of all things. It's just how he is.
The one thing that usually ties into when I like hear the pressers and even like read the transcripts after is like it's always tied into our players some way, shape, or form, because it's either like a prequel to him getting into our players and where their heads at and stuff. And I think it more than anything, I don't think it's so much mind games. And like we alluded to earlier, with him finally giving a subtle hint of the desire for more, that's what is truly said. So regardless of what he's saying out on the cameras and stuff like that, I think the message behind the scenes is a lot different. But I think and I've been saying this for a while, is trying to keep the players on some type of level because of what we've seen for years now, which is these blackouts. I don't think he wants these guys getting up here with their heads, but he also has to stop them from getting down here. So he's not really committing them to any expectations that might, feel them like down here when something goes wrong. But he's also not boosting them up so they're up here so that they can fall flat on their face. I think Max is a man manager, and I think with what he feels out of the team and their mentality, I think he feels this is the best way to approach this type of thing before actually saying anything. But for the most part, coaches in general aren't come out and just say that. There's very few that just come out and say, yeah, no, like we're the favorites. Yeah, without this competition, without European play, we need to definitely take this trophy. I don't even think Conte would be saying that if he came in and everybody knows he's the raw guy. Like, he's not going to be saying that. There's
Mm-hmm.
very few that say that. But there's also some coaches that, after certain performances, will actually be more upfront about it. And that's why I see it all as being more protective of the group and where their headspace is at. Because there's a lot of coaches that would come out after certain Juve games and say, yeah, you know what? We got the 1-0 win, but that was an ugly game. Like, we should have played way better. That was a game we probably could have killed off. Like, there's coaches that'll do that. Max isn't even doing that. For me, it's all about protection and keeping the headspace level. That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
I
I see that.
seriously doubt any manager sends a message to his players through press conferences.
No,
If he has something to say to them, it's happening backstage, in the dressing room. It's just for the
but there
media. It's
are,
for
because
us
Mourinho has
fans.
called out a million players through press conferences
That's
and
his
try like
style. That's definitely
that's
Yeah,
his
his
but
stuff.
style.
There are coaches that do that. There are coaches
Yeah,
that
but
do
we
that.
he
but we
will.
also seen
Mourinho will
him.
single out guys. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we also seen him at the Tottenham All or Nothing. I mean, if he says that on the press conference, he will also tell that to the player personally.
Oh
He
Yeah.
yeah.
doesn't shy away from giving players criticism, right to their face in his office.
Well, if you say it to the
And
camera, you pretty much are saying it to them anyways. You're going to have to deal with it up front. You're not going to be able to hide
yes,
from that as a coach. So,
so a
yeah.
smart guy would do that before he talks about it in press conferences. I have a hypothetical, a question. Let's say, with everything that's going on at Man United with Jadon Sancho, They're looking to offload him. Would you take him under, a plausible deal, maybe even a loan till the end of the season? Would you take that risk? Because he was
Mm,
phenomenal at Dortmund.
he
His numbers
was.
are like crazy, and then went to Man United and it just dropped. But we know Man United is a shit show, and
I say
most players
no.
don't do so well there.
I say
No,
no.
why?
No.
Why?
And the reason is because we're not in the position to take that chance. If we were right
What, a
now,
dry loan till the end of the season? Wouldn't
right
you try?
now I doubt we're like he's been an issue though. Like he's been an issue. There's so many question marks around that. Like why? Like we are questioning our own guys mentally and all this and all that. Like adding another question mark of no. I don't. For me, it's a no. I wouldn't do it.
He has the
Discipline
talent,
issues,
and
and
that's
we're
the
not in the headspace to take on that type of scenario right now. If we were full with strong characters and they knew who they were and they were established, I'd say, yeah, you know what? I'd take a flyer on that. I would take that shot. Right now, no. Like, just no.
And
yeah. The
can
chat's
your
making a lot
opinion
of good points.
change? And what? Yeah, I mean, of course, he has a huge salary. I'm saying a hypothetical dry loan to the end of the season. Man United pay half or even 75% of his salary. No obligation to buy, no nothing. Will your answer change based on how we do till January comes?
The the thing that I just can't get
Maybe.
out of my mind is like if Chiesa's not in the lineup, who do we have that fills that gap for real?
It's either betting on Ildiz or Ealing, or playing two
That's
strikers, which we don't like. I
which
don't like. I don't
which
remember
it
you
it
guys.
last season it didn't even work. So like who does that
Yeah.
anymore really? So I mean I you know what? Screw it. I would take the gamble. I take the gamble if it's like the situation that you're saying, Omer, where it's like they pay 75% everything despite his disciplinary problems, all that stuff. Fuck it, why not?
Yeah.
Give him 6 months,
Look at
see
Joe.
what would happen.
Reminded me of my younger days when it came time to
Yeah.
party. And yeah, you know what? Screw it. Let's do it. I'll have that. I'll have that extra beer. Yeah, give me that shot. Screw it. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
I love it. I don't know. Yeah, but going back to what Omer, the twist to the question too, like would it change depending what comes to coming up to that? Yeah, that could change. It could change if all of a sudden I see like a shift and I just start to see the group really come together and elevate. Yeah, that could change. Could change, but we'll see. Max's acknowledgement of title ambition means he's nervous about the mentality issues. It's way out of character. I don't think so, to be honest. Can we say that this is Max out of character?
No, I don't think that it's
I'm
not
not
out of
getting that
character.
feeling.
Out of
It would
character for the first 10-year max, not the one we've had in the past 2.5 seasons.
Yeah, it's not out of character. I think it would seem out of character if you actually think that he's playing mind games, which I don't think he's doing.
Yeah.
So this is the of course that every coach has ambitions. Like he's not everybody knows like what Juventus wants. Allegri knows what Juventus wants. He's not hiding anything. So this isn't
I've
out of
all
character.
I've also said um it doesn't matter where Juve falls on the table, it's never going to go away, the expectations. Like it's the
Yep.
same. And the coach can come out say whatever the hell he wants, it's not going to change that, right? It is what it is.
I really don't give a lot of attention to the press conferences. I think every athlete, every manager kind of hates those. Anyone who's watched The Last Dance can see what Dennis Rodman said about it. He said, I play basketball for free. I get money for this shit. Sitting here talking to you, getting bombarded with hard questions. That's why I get paid. I don't think anyone likes it. Maybe after wins, after winning titles and stuff, but those usual one before matches and when you lose, they all hate it. They have to do it for
Mhm.
the fans, for the club, but I don't believe anyone likes it. I don't believe they're being 100% honest when they're talking there. They're not even
Yeah.
It's an
70%
obligation.
honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen Pirlo and how he sits before those press conferences in the all or nothing of Juve, and he has a teams that tells him what they're going to ask him, and blah blah blah. So it's not even 50%, honest from most guys.
yeah,
Yeah. Faraz coming in here and getting to the nitty gritty here. I think the masses have been brainwashed about PDs and war on drugs. Pogba's body was breaking down, and if there's anyone who needs some help with performance enhancing drugs, it's Pogba. Thoughts?
that
If
doesn't
you
mean that
are
you still do
suggest
them.
I'm trying to wrap my head around this. If you're suggesting that he has like intentionally done that, I said from the start. I mean, nobody wants to throw that out there and just be like, "Yeah, flat out you did." But I always said, "Could you see it?" I mean, yeah, you could see it. You could see it that the situation would definitely present itself there. But could it easily be an accident as well? Yeah. I mean, was his body breaking down on him? I'm not going to say that no, it wasn't. I mean, the the list of what happened last year was ridiculous. You know,
Yeah.
um, I
Yeah,
could see it going either
he's
way,
staying
but
his body.
yeah,
It's just breaking down
Yeah.
on him. That's
it,
just
it
what happens.
sucks. It sucks, but I mean, I'm not gonna say one way or another. And for us, as that's thank you. That's exactly my point. I could see it either way, but again, usually the way these things run, and again, it's been exaggerated with the 4 year thing. Nobody's ever gotten a 4 year penalty out of this thing, okay? But again, nobody's really come through unscathed. There's going to be a punishment set, even if he goes clean October 5th. Okay, 4 more days, we'll know. But even if he goes clean there, he's probably going to face a slight suspension. Then he can appeal. Um, it's going to be a trying thing. We'll see what happens at the end of the day and what Juve decides. But we'll see what happens. See what happens. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this was
I
outside of Juve's knowledge, right? Like this
yeah.
was
Yes.
his team.
Yeah.
So like you mean to tell me that Pogba's team had no clue that that was going on? Like they had no idea
Well,
what they were giving him.
Well, apparently it was the story is that it's while he was recovering and training in Miami. So he was doing that through somebody he had personally hired and whatever and was working with. Apparently got something prescribed to him, okay? So
Tea cream. Yeah.
you've in some way, shape, or form seen a doctor or somebody that can actually give you a prescription for something, and you haven't advised your employer. So he's one way or another, he's fucked up. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
yeah.
Massive.
The only way he doesn't is if he was drugged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, besides that, it
Without
doesn't
his
matter if
knowledge.
you know it's a felony or not. If you have used it and you are a professional athlete, you will get punished for it.
Or the
I
witch doctor
see.
did something incorrect in his
Oh,
calculations and has
might be, might
got
be.
the test in there, and all of a sudden it's just, come on, Paul. Some of the
False positive.
decisions, brother, you could have had it all. And to be honest, I always said it. I was hoping it was not true because I've always liked Paul. I've always admired his abilities, but
Look,
he
by
fucked
now,
up leaving Juventus and should have never left Juventus. And I think he would have been in a completely different echelon for himself if he had not left at that moment. I
Yeah.
understood
yeah.
why, and I get why he went back. But to be honest, he should have never left. And I think things would have been a
Even
hell of a
even
lot
if he
different.
gets cleared, even if he gets cleared by the end, and he was drugged,
The
unbeknownst to
reputation's done.
him,
Yeah.
you need to be a madman to put your faith in Pogba being fit, right? We can safely say that right now that you're crazy if you hoping Pogba will come back, be fit the entire season, and rescue you. You can't bank on that. So you will have to prepare to life without Pogba one way or another.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
So I believe the story is done either way. Even if he gets cleared and he is healthy again, it won't last very long.
yeah. This go down as our worst signing ever? The Pogba signing?
Oh no! Don't make me go back to the banter
We could,
around.
we could flip the
Yeah.
pages
I
on that
want to
one.
go back there. I want to go back there.
Oh boy,
Okay. Andrade
we
for
need more
me
time
played
for
like
that.
2 matches.
Who remembers? Do you remember Jorge Martinez?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jorge Martinez.
That was pretty
I'd go with
deadly.
Dario Knezovic, the Croatian
Oh
guy,
sure,
Valery Buzhinov. Andrade was probably the worst one. He
Andrade was.
arrived
Oh,
at Juve.
Oh
that was
yeah.
brutal.
Man,
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
brutal.
I do feel for Paul though, and I do stand by what I said. I think it would have been a completely different trajectory for him if he had stayed at that time. But
Oh, absolutely.
here's another one there, Krasic. Ooh,
But
Krasic.
Krasic, I mean, he had a high ceiling. He did get like a hat trick and a 93rd minute winner against Lazio. So he had some memorable moments.
He
here
had
and there.
something. He had
Yeah.
something. But
There are
man,
some
what a
players who had
disappointment.
absolutely nothing.
Same with
Anelka.
Diego,
Remember the
you know?
Anelka signing was just bizarre. Bizarre. That was
Oh,
a
no,
Like,
kind
why?
of Bentner. At some
Bentner.
point
Why?
last season, we had like a Milik and Keane starting, and we were so down bad that I got the Anelka Bentner vibes starting for Juve again.
Oh
We
yeah.
were so
I had
like that team was
I
so
had, like,
good back in the
flashbacks.
day that they won despite those two on the team.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
that's how good that team was.
I
That's
tell
how good
you.
our midfield was because we didn't bank on our strikers too much.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna wrap up with Jeremiah finally getting his prediction.
Here we
Oh,
go.
absolute barn burner. 3-2 Juventus. Fagioli, Rabiot, McKennie. Ooh, look at the goal selections there. 13 attempts, 5 on target. Man of the match.
Rabiot,
The crazy
block
horse.
your ears.
Rabiot. Let's
Isla,
go.
the name
Let's go.
for Del Juve Piero. Isla is the guy you're talking about.
Isla. Yeah. Well, you guys, a lot of fun. Wrapping up on a fun note, but it's going to get serious very, very quick as we're not far from kickoff, couple hours away from kickoff. Everybody go do whatever it is you do on game day, okay? Your pregame rituals. I'm going to see you back probably about 20 minutes to kickoff. I hope you're all here with me for the live watch along. I'm going to call the action, and hopefully we have a victory to celebrate and some Juve goals, a lot of Juve goals. Let's go, everybody. Forza Juve. Okay, Joe, Omer, absolute pleasure. As always, live chat, you guys, AJC Army, you guys know it. The best in the business, okay? We'll see you all in a bit. And, hey, time to ride or die with the lads, and hopefully we get the big reaction we wanted midweek. Let's get it today against Atalanta. Fino alla fine. Forza Juve. Take care. Talk to you in a couple hours, everybody. Ciao.
Yeah.